Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. I'm going to be going over every weapon that Angeal currently owns, including his ultimate weapon, his free gear voucher, and going through his entire kit and talking about it. Then later on, if I have a chance and I get my hands on an Angeal that's fully maxed out or close to it, I want to showcase what he's capable of, but those videos are a little harder to make and more time consuming, so that might be an iffy. For now, let's jump in and rank every single one of his weapons, starting from the wishlist stuff. So the first one on here is the Type 90 Longsword. You get 3 copies of this for the campaign event they had over on Twitter. So you have this at OB2. It's actually one of his best swords when it comes to many things, actually. It's one of the free ones that have Provoke on it. And then the R abilities on this thing are fantastic. Most of the ranking for this is going to be the R abilities because R abilities do make or break a character's build or other characters' builds. But for this weapon specifically, it does 750 non-physical elemental damage with crit rate on it. It's got 643 physical attack, no sigil break on it at all. It's 4 ATB, so it's your free version of being able to provoke the enemy to tank. It's 60 seconds, you can't extend it. I believe because it is a buff, it most likely can be increased with buff duration. I haven't tested that though. Overall though, physical defense being at 62 for a full max out copy, and even one copy is at 40 R ability for that. This thing is really good. OB6 got 54 points. This is a maxed out physical defense weapon. You put this in the main hand and you're getting tons of survivability out of this. Plus it has boost physical ability potency on here, which can be used for other characters that need to survive while also still doing somewhat damage. So this will give you that 5% increase or fill up someone's other gauge. 13 points, bring them to like 45 or 60%. So overall, I think this thing is fantastic. It actually, I recommend this as part of the tanking build. That way you still get some damage with the R ability. So for me, because the R ability physical defense is so high and mixed with some damage, plus it having Provoke for Angeal personally on his kit, this thing is a solid A. Very good weapon R ability wise for him, himself, other characters, and allows him to use his tankiness. Now, when it comes into the next one, the Greatsword A, the Greatsword A is a pretty good weapon. It's actually his best weapon on his hand to give you that physical increase for R abilities. But what does Greatsword do? Greatsword gives 340 physical non-elemental damage, all enemies. It's going to, physical defense is decreased, so it's going to lower all enemies' physical defense. And then it's also going to give you Veil at 5%. But fully maxed out version of this is what we're looking at because that's how most kits are. You want to go for that fully maxed out. OB6 though is where you're going to get high physical defense decrease, which is really good, and 8% Veil, which at OB10 it's only 10% and then high no matter what. Damage doesn't matter. So OB6 is all you really need to get that high AoE, and the R abilities are pretty decent at 2736, but fully maxed out 3152. Great for the R abilities. Probably going to be used quite a bit for all his builds because when you look at his other R abilities, they are mix and match with a lot of things, where this one is solid for any physical build that he has. Main hand weapon will be whatever Arcanum he's currently using or whatever gimmick he's using for his tanking, and then throw this in the offhand for that power. So personally, I think this one is a solid A to S tier one. And the reason I want to give it more of an S tier is because the R abilities will complement what he has, but it is a high A. So we'll keep that there for now and change it around. It's mostly up there because it does lower defense and it also gives you the R ability completion. No sigil break though, and yeah, 624 physical attack. Pretty good one. It's probably one of my favorites. Now the next one we got is Type 91 two-hander. At original copy, physical attack and magic attack is lowered on a single enemy, not AoE. There's other characters that do this, like Barrett, Sephiroth. I feel like I'm missing someone else, where they have an AoE debuff, where this one's more single target. But this thing only costs 3 ATB, and it's its only non-limited banner weapon that has a sigil break. Technically not your standard triangle, circle, or X, but it's got the diamond sigil break for 3 ATB while also lowering the enemy's physical and magic attack. Mid-tier for just one copy, which is all you really need. But if you do get an OB6 of this weapon, it goes up to high for physical attack. And HP is 50% or more. Magic attack is decreased as well, which is with his Veil and his tankiness, he will be above 50% HP. So he'll be totally fine. Unless he's tanking so many hits that he goes below, but you have a healer, so it's no big deal. It is boosted into the magic area, so it goes towards more of his magic build if you want to do for the stat wise. But this thing is solid. Got boost HP, boost ability potency. It's there for him specifically. When you compare it to other characters and the R builders we normally use, I wouldn't say that's great. But because he is a tanking unit, it's great on him to have that HP because Veil scales off of his HP. So this actually makes this a really good R ability for him. Not one of the best one because it's only boost ability potency. It's not physical or magic. It's both. So it gives less percentage. But because of his kit, this thing is a solid S rank weapon. Because this is going to be the main difference of winning a fight or losing a fight. If you can lower the enemy's attack, it's going to help a lot. Plus it has Diamond Sigil and it's got only 3 ATB cost. So I think that one is definitely, in his kit specifically, deserves an S rank spot just for that. Lots of utility in there, plus solid R abilities. Next up, we got his Earth Resist down. The Shinra Greatsword model. This one is going to complement anyone that is an Earth damage dealer, including himself, because he does have an Earth weapon. This is a 4 ATB, 390 non-physical damage. Earth Resist is reduced to mid and then high on the second cast, and it gives Veil. At OB6, that one cast is going to be high and give you 8% of his own max HP. So thing about Angeal is that he's constantly, if he has a Veil weapon like his new banner weapon or this one, every time he casts this, he refreshes that shield he gets from Veil. So if you're at 10% and you have 10,000 HP, you get 1,000 shield. Cast this again, 1,000 shield. So it's constantly protecting him just for applying an effect, which is very strong in his kit. So at OB10 is where the R abilities change and Veil goes to 10%. So not only does this lower Earth Resist, gives him protection, but it's got really good R abilities, boost attack 46 and buff debuff duration, which is solid. Still no sigil break on the weapon, but overall, if you're in the situation of actually helping someone with their Earth Resist, this thing is solid. When it comes to the R abilities, if you are buffing or debuffing himself for the party, that buff or debuff extension really helps. So this weapon, if you are going into an Earth fight, is definitely an S tier weapon. Protection, Earth Resist down high, great R abilities. So I would say that is an S tier. But overall, when it comes to just using it for the R abilities, it's on the A tier. So I'm going to keep it at S. Definitely on the lower end S, but definitely an S tier kind of weapon. Realistically, if we were to grade these, it'd be something more moving to B, A, and S. But yeah, he would be A, these would be B. But overall, I want to keep it the way it is right now because I think these are all solid. He's got a really good opening kit. Next up, we've got the other Greatsword, which is an incredible lightning damage. I think this is the most natural, non-limited banner costume weapon for damage. 900% magic lightning. Even OB6, 740%. The R abilities to go along with it are really good too. You might be thinking, well, lightning potency is really low. There's other weapons we have. Sephiroth's CC Alloy Sword, which boast the complete opposite. So if you match that with Sephiroth's, and you come over here, so you wear his new CC Alloy Sword on the main hand, and this on the offhand, you get those lightning potency, 26 points. And then you get boost magic attack, which is unnecessary. So it's like the opposite of what Sephiroth has, which is kind of cool. But if you do have scenarios where boost magic attack is maxed out, lightning potency isn't, now all your weapons in the back for lightning can be boost attack lightning, HP lightning, defense lightning, whatever they release. So a weapon that can max out boost magic attack on the main hand is very, very, very good. With 900% lightning right now, without an Arcanum, It's definitely in the A rank because you could just use the weapon for that 900% potency. Once he gets any kind of costume that increases magic damage, not just an Arcanum, this thing is a solid S tier. As it stands right now, it is definitely an A tier DPS weapon. 900% is nothing to scuff at, especially when it comes to doing damage. So even though you don't have the Arcanum increasing lightning damage by 35%, when you compare this to like Cloud's Murasami, which is 750 potency, even Cloud with his Murasami costume and his weapon, Angeal can actually catch up and do some pretty good damage there with that 900% potency. So, nothing to sleep on when it comes to damage. Later on, that will be an S tier weapon easily for just pure damage, especially because it maxes out one of your stats. That leaves 4 spots for all the other stats. So that makes it really, really good in R ability wise. One of my favorite weapons coming up right now is Stalwart Integrity. This thing is great. I love this thing. At 1 copy, physical defense is increased. All allies mid to high. High is 2 cast of 4 ATB. It gives a little bit of heal, but it also, if you have 70% or more HP, with him being a lot of HP, tanky, and having Veil, this 70% is actually very doable. Physical attack is going to be increased mid to high on all allies. So raising physical defense and physical attack AoE with protection on a tanky character is really good. At OB6, that's going to be high and high. So maxed out. This is the same thing as Kate Sith's Monster Hunter collaboration weapon. It's the exact same setup, same wording and everything. Aerith has the Monster Hunter weapon, but hers is magic defense with physical attack. So if you run him and you run Aerith, you now cover magic and physical defense, but they both raise physical attack. So at least they refresh each other, because this is coming with a buff debuff extension. At OB10, there is no damage on this weapon, which is totally fine. It's being used for what it is. It has boost HP 62 and buff duration, really high boost HP. So for his kit specifically, while helping out the party, this thing is going to be incredible. He's going to tank, taunt, and then protect everyone from the AoE with his limit break, giving Veil 20% to everybody. If you're facing an enemy that has physical defense, this thing's going to help you survive quite a bit. This is probably the best weapon he has when it comes to his non-limited weapons. I would definitely say that's a true S tier. Like I said, I can move all this down like this and do something like this, honestly, but when it comes to his weapons, he does have a couple ones that do stand in B and not C, and that's why I'm keeping them in A and S. So, next up is the first C one. This is his Innocent Warrior. This is an AoE fire. Every character sort of has an AoE weapon that has an element on it. These are more made for niche moments where you need an AoE farm or something like that, or kill side ads a little bit fast. Like the Hell House has that, where the bombs come out and you want to do AoE damage to clear them quick. But mostly it's for the R ability. When it comes to the R ability, you got boost magic 31 and boost fire potency 52. A lot of times characters already have 46 points of magic attack, and then they have a weapon that has like 39 fire, and you want to start stacking more fire for better potency. These are the good weapons. Low boost magic attack, high fire potency. Really appreciate these weapons. When it comes to him and his kit, he's got nothing to do with this weapon right now, and even if you do, you're not going to be in much situations. So this is technically going to be our first C tier weapon, I want to say. I wouldn't say it's a B tier. It's B tier just because of the R abilities. We'll keep it at B. I don't think there's anything that's C tier on his kit. He's coming out with a very solid kit. Now, if I were to give a ranking for the best looking sword, or the one that just catches my eye a lot, I like the Monolith. It's really cool looking. This weapon is pretty solid, and I feel like this could have been a banner weapon. This thing is incredibly good. So it's got provoke for 60 seconds. Magic defense is increased mid to high on himself. And then he also has physical heal. A physical heal is cast of 11%. At OB6, that's a high cast of magic defense on himself. So he provokes magic defense, plus his R abilities are 46 HP, magic defense 52. If this is in the main hand, he's going to be surviving. He's almost maxed out. He's getting 70% magic defense up, plus he's getting 70% HP increase with 250 flat stat. So this is the second best weapon when it comes to the kind of kit he has. This thing's incredible. I still say that Type 91 should be up here with them because of what it does as well. It's like the equivalent, but I really, really like this one because of all of that. This does have provoke. It does have boosted physical defense. It just, his other weapon looks a little bit better. And the reason this is getting the S tier and the Type 90 isn't because it actually raises his magic defense to high. It's not to the entire party, but when you don't need the situation where every character doesn't have magic defense up, or he needs to refresh himself because the enemy constantly debuffs and he's being targeted because of provoke and it's a single target attack, it's really going to come in clutch. It'd been better if it was like an AoE magic defense, right? Because then he protects the whole party, but the whole point is that he draws attention to himself. So technically you can put this in an A rank, but it does have great R abilities and it has something else besides just damage, right? It goes into his kit. So that's why I do want to put this in the A rank, but definitely deserves the S rank because there is a self buff. There's lots of times where the healer and some DPS are doing something else and they can't refresh that defense up right away. He can just take care of it, which is really nice. So technically I'd give this like an A+. Let's put it at the top here. S for our abilities as well, so it's hard. It's really hard, but we'll rearrange that list in the end. Last one he has is his earth damage weapon. Now this thing is pretty cool. At OB1 or nothing, 320 physical earth damage with ×2 multiplier if you're low HP. OB6, that's 500%, ×2 is 1000. Fully maxed out, that's 600 ×2, which is 1200 earth potency for 4 ATB. Our abilities, again, boost attacks only 31, but boost earth potencies at 52. So a lot of times, again, you can just mix and match with other weapons. So it's not a big deal. This is at 31. This is a huge, heavy hitting weapon. With his veil mechanic being able to block damage, he could get close to low HP and be kind of protected and not have to worry about it. But your healers are AoE, so they're always going to bring up characters back to max. So you're not going to really see that ×2 damage that often. I don't know what the HP threshold is, but if you can make this thing work, it will work. But because it's lower your HP, the higher the ability potency, I don't really like that. It's too much to take care of. So I'm going to put this one at a B tier. Definitely, it's higher than that. It's like a B+. I'd say this is a B+ for sure. So before we continue into this more, like I said, I do want to change things as I go. And honestly, the Greatsword, because it has Veil, it has AoE physical defense down, and great R abilities, this thing definitely deserves to be up in the S rank when it comes to his kit. It's that completion he needs, plus again, you're also casting ability and getting a free shield every single time. So I think this belongs more in the S tier there. Next up is his banner weapon. His banner weapon, it's obvious. High physical attack, 940% water damage, provoke, veil, boost attack all allies, water potency, an axle sigil break because nothing else on his kit besides that diamond sigil has sigil breaking. This thing is solid. While doing damage, you're refreshing that veil. So any one of his weapons that constantly refresh his shield is really good, especially when he's doing damage. So this thing does 3 things in one and amazing R abilities. It is definitely his best weapon, hands down. So 1 weapon, 2, 3 that recast Veil over and over and over again every time they use an ability. I think these things are really solid. Great support weapons here, helping either mitigate damage by lowering attack or raising defense while making the party strong. I believe all these belong here in S tier because they do more than one thing, plus their R abilities are very, very good. So now that we went through all the banner weapons and the things you guys can pull for, let's talk about the guild weapon. Actually, yeah, let's do the guild weapon first. This thing is an automatic S tier just because it's a shovel. He's gonna go around smacking people with the shovel. So automatic S tier, better than all his other weapons. Don't care what you say. Fight me. That is amazing. Orchid Shovel. This thing is actually pretty good too. At a base copy, you get lower your HP the higher the ability damage, so ×3, and it has provoke. Plus, it's got boost physical defense all allies, right? So you're gonna fully max this thing eventually out, but at OB7 is all you need for that physical defense all allies. But let's look at the OB10 version. It's got 490 ×3. This thing is going really high, like 1470 potency, which is really, really good. When you compare that to Cloud's Bat, which is pure damage, it has 1600 potency, but you can't use any limit breaks or summons, where the shovel doesn't take that away. But the requirement for ×3 is to lower your HP. So unless we figure out how to make the healer not heal him and make him survive without heals, meaning a regen healer build with his shield is the best way to probably get that going. Besides that, enemies attack way too fast, way too often, and way too much damage to keep this character at low HP. Again, I don't know what the threshold is. If it's like 50% or less, then hey, cool. That makes this a really good weapon. If it's like somewhere around the 30% mark, that's getting risky. But him being a tank and having a lot of HP, if you have like 30,000 HP, 30% of that 30,000 is good enough to survive a lot of attacks, especially with how much defense he's got on him. So, personally, I think this weapon, because it does have provoke on it, and it's got physical defense all allies, it is a solid pickup. You can use it on him or other characters, and with Earth Titan fight coming out, boost Earth resist 31 points there. That will also help a lot. It doesn't have a sigil break, but it's a funny weapon to have, walking around smacking people across the head with the shovel. Overall, I'm gonna leave it in the S tier just to have it there. It's really funny, but it's a guild weapon, and all guild weapons that have AoE physical defense or magic defense, in my opinion, are S tier weapons. And it's another reason why the Type 90 is in the A slot, because the Type 90's R ability is raising physical defense by 62 points, which is maxing out your own physical defense. And when you put in the backhand of other characters, it's really good. But with guild weapons having AoE physical defense, you rather put the guild weapon instead of this. Sure, this will give you 45% to everybody, but the guild weapon will give physical defense to that will give a single target. Guild weapons will give AoE. So definitely a great weapon. Next up, we're gonna go into the ultimate weapon. If I remember how to exchange, oh yeah, it's on their medals. So his ultimate weapon, since he didn't come with a unique one, Kate Sith was still on there. Ultimate Type 90 Longsword. Physical defense is increased mid all allies to high. Magic defense is increased mid to all allies to high. So if the characters already have a mid-tier buff on them, physical defense or magic defense, he'll change it to high. If they have nothing, they'll get mid. And this lasts for 20 seconds. He also casts a little bit of heal on there, and it's only one use. Its R abilities are physical and magic defense, 20 points. This thing is solid. When you compare it to other characters and gain their ultimate weapons, if you're using Angeal, you're using Angeal to provoke, protect the party, increase their HP with Veil, and making sure everyone's surviving. You mix this with his new costume, you mix this with his guild weapon, and you put this on himself, he does go really wild with how much he's going to be able to survive. Don't forget though, physical defense, points, and all that, they can't go over 55, so eventually if you stack too much, you're not going to get the effect out of it. But I do think that is a solid weapon for him. It covers everything he wants. It's definitely an A+ to S tier kind of weapon. It's the ultimate weapon though. There's only one choice right now. You just use it. But if it was a bad effect or I didn't think it was good, I would put it somewhere lower, you know. But it's definitely an A+ S tier. Solid for him specifically for what he does. Yes, it is S tier. So overall, Angeal is a wild character. The constant being protected while doing damage or another effect is what makes him so unique. When it comes to the actual veil itself, I don't really like. I like it. It's just that it's only 1,000 damage mitigated. So when it comes to himself, not including his limit break is where it's going to be game changing for the party. But when you have only like 10,000 HP or 20,000 HP, 10% is 2,000, and a lot of attacks do more than 2,000. But because he can stack his physical defense and magic defense so high while self-buffing himself too, you're probably going to have a veil that of 2,000 or more that's going to be like, yeah, that veil is there. It's not getting broken because he's so tanky. The only issue I have with Angeal as a kit overall is that if an AoE attack comes in and it's super powerful, your party dies. If he's by himself, he's not going to be able to solo it. When it comes to DPS racing and you need DPS and also protection, he's going to shine there, right? So you don't want him to be all DPS and you don't want him to be all tankiness and support. You want him to be in between there. Because again, provoke only stops single target attacks, not AoE attacks. But overall, great opening kit, strong character. Great that you can spam that veil over and over and over again while still doing damage. And then he's got all these support weapons to increase the party's physical defense, physical attack. You've got self-magic defense. Yeah, lowering enemies' attacks. So yeah, he's a great character. If you guys are a young Angeal fan, go for it. This is what I think of his kit overall. There's a couple things I could probably move around, but I would say that's pretty solid. Him having a lot of S-tier weapons just shows how incredibly good he is. Sure, you can move these down to like A+ and S, but like every situation, they're going to shine. So let me know what you think about the tier list and Angeal himself. Are you pulling for him? Do you like his character? Me personally, if I wasn't broke, I need a Water Arcanum, I would go hands down easily on this character. Just because the rest of the kit is so strong and the game gave us so many free tickets, making it easy to build him, right? Not super cheap and you're not going to get everything OB6, but pretty good chance with how many tickets they threw out. Yeah, besides all that, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.